Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Captain John Pinto. I am the Commanding Officer of Training Division. I would like to welcome you to the iconic Elysian Park Academy. This morning we are doing the unveiling of the Rose Ochi plaque right here to us. But before we do that, we are going to do the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem. Will you all please rise for the presentation of the colors?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to welcome the invited guests here today and all the command staff that are here. To my left, to your right, we have three guest speakers today. Our Chief of Police will speak momentarily. I'd also like to welcome a big welcome to our former Police Commissioner, Alan Scobin. Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce Darlene Kuba. She was the one mainly responsible for this, and there's a lot of other people out here I'd like to talk about, but I would like to acknowledge the husband of Rose Ochi, Tom. Thank you so much, sir, for being here today. We also have Rose's niece here present, Marlene Matsui. Thank you for coming. I'd like to then introduce the Chief of Police, Chief Michael Moore.
Thanks, Captain Pinto, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our home. And I can find no more fitting place for the placement of this plaque in remembrance of Rose Ochi than here on our grounds. These are the grounds of this Los Angeles Police Department for nearly 100 years. Every person who joins in this organization, who stands on a black line that is just a few feet away in that auditorium, a line that I stood on 40 years ago this month, walks this corridor. These stones and this work that has been put in place in the 30s and 40s has withstood the test of time. But this also represents our grounds that we develop police officers, not just for the times of our past, but for the future. And Rose Ochi is one of those leaders that throughout her entire existence was a visionary, was a person who sought justice, who sought peace, who sought fairness, and equity, and came from an existence that, as an American, I must say, represents some of our darkest days, when as Americans, we interned other Americans out of ignorance and fear. And while she grew up and was born in 1938 in Los Angeles, found herself in an internment camp in Arkansas some 4 years later with her family members. And it's fitting that she's here in this remembrance for officers to remember that as an organization, the most visible form of government, that we work and are dedicated in a profession of service to a government that has been wrong at times, that has enforced laws and pursued its form of justice or protections of itself in manners that were unequal, that were biased, racist, prejudiced, and wrong. And so as we go about our duties each day, it's important that we remember our past, not to wallow in it, but to acknowledge it and remain committed that even in today, we can't dismiss every act or every action of a government and simply say, well, of course it's fair, of course it's right, because it's us. There's no greater country, there's no greater democracy in this world. This is a great experiment. But it's an experiment that only succeeds as we're willing to look back at our past and acknowledge our shortfalls. And to do it in a manner that is productive, that is building. And again, that's what Commissioner Ochi did. Her years here from 2001 to 2005, I was a captain, commander, and a deputy chief during that period of time. I saw a great deal of organizational change and challenges this organization. We entered a consent decree. We discussed how do we improve the operations of this organization. And Commissioner Ochi, as well as Vice President Commission Alan Scobin, have been marshals of that, have been people as citizens, common community members that step forward in service to challenge this department to rise up. And as I close, I just want to thank every individual, Darlene, Bill, for your energy and your commitment to seeing that she will be remembered, that her contributions, not just as a commissioner, but her time in the White House, her efforts with the Justice Department, but also her efforts as matters involving litigation so that kids would have an education that's not based on the wealth of a county, but the equity across an entire city or entire state, a matter she, I understand, co-counseled in the 70s, that all that sprang from a life existence where she recognized there's a better way. So thank you for ensuring that we don't forget that. That I am committed as Chief Beck, Chief Bratton, and every one of, I believe, predecessors behind us to allow these grounds to speak our history, but also portray a potential for the future based on icons such as her, Commissioner Scobin, and others. So thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I welcome the unveiling of this. Tom, God bless you. Thank you for accompanying her all these years, for being that rock in that center with her. And I'm honored today that with your presence. And I hope this is a small measure to show of our appreciation. God bless you all, and may God bless Rose Ochi. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd now like to introduce former Police Commissioner Alan Scobin.
Thank you. It's especially humbling to have been asked to speak today, particularly as I look at this group and know that pretty much everyone here knew Rose well enough that they could speak to the group and talk about Rose Ochi and their various experiences with her. But I think there's also a commonality that we all share, based on the type of person that Rose was and the difference she made in our lives and our community. I do want to take 1 second to recognize and thank these two folks here, Darlene Kuba, along with her husband Bill Fujioka, who the best friends anybody could ever have, who worked so tirelessly to be sure that Rose was recognized and remembered in the most appropriate manner, and thank you for that. Also, Chief Mike Moore, who I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think is one of the best chiefs we've ever had in this department. And oh my God, talk about somebody who's kept a steady course in the most stormiest seas. And Chief, thank you very much, and want to extend support for you. So Rose Ochi. Gosh, there's so much we could say about Rose Ochi. I loved working with her. We were together in the police commission. And it's interesting, Rose Ochi could build alliances. And she could build alliances across all lines, whether it be racial, political, cultural, economic. And the reason is she was always about people. She's about policy. She's about best practices, not politics. So because of that, she could bridge the gaps. And this person, she was a force of nature. I mean, that's probably the best description I can find of true force of nature. There are no limits to what she felt people could do. She always wanted everyone to reach their full potential. And she's also very fiercely loyal. In terms of the city, before the commission, she really was ready for that job because, as I think most of you know, she worked in the Bradley administration, where she was the director of criminal justice planning. And she was involved in developing use of force policies. She advised the mayor on what became the Plaque consent decree that resulted in more women and minority officers being hired in this department. She established a domestic violence prosecution unit and a dispute resolution unit, and did so much for the city even before she was on the police commission. So when Mayor Hahn asked her to serve, she was more than ready. As a commissioner, it was always fun to work with Rose Ochi, no matter what the task was, because you knew that she was approaching things for the right reasons. And believe me, she was outspoken, and there was never a hidden agenda. We always knew exactly where Rose was and where we're going and why. So she had passions. She developed very, very instrumental in developing the deployment plan, the flexible deployment plan, and revamping the disciplinary system, all sorts of things. Active with the consent decree. She was part of the group that identified about brought Bill Bratton to the department as chief. But I think her real passion was community policing, community relations. And if you look throughout her entire life, the community was really the thread, I think, that kept it through because of her love of people and her belief in treating everybody fairly. And even if you look at the department programs, that's where she was very, very active. When she went to the California Forensic Science Institute, she kind of dragged some of us with her in Rose in an inevitable way, and she was good, and she always made us feel good about what we were doing with her. So all of us, I'm sure, have received phone calls from Rose Ochi, either just to ask us how we felt about something, to share a new idea she's involved in, a new project, and it seemed at the end of that phone call we were always involved in whatever she was involved in. So I'd like to ask, who here would ever want to say no to Rose Ochi? Right? We just didn't. She's a person who inspired us. She uplifted us. As I said, she was fun. And we knew that whatever we were working on with Rose was a noble cause. She only knew one speed, and that was fast forward. And I would tell you, when I see Rose Ochi, I sometimes think of the Energizer Bunny, but the Energizer Bunny certainly couldn't even keep up with Rose Ochi. Yeah, all the times that Rose called, and whether it was, for time, and she'd ask for something, so she'd ask for our time, our ideas, sometimes money. We all know she's a pretty prolific fundraiser for the foundation. There's a common theme about Rose's phone calls and her asks, if you will. It's that Rose Ochi never once asked for herself. All those times, she never once asked for herself. She always asked for others. And I believe it's because Rose Ochi understood what is referred to in the Bible as the servant's mentality. You know that Rose Ochi kind of never answered anybody in a way, right? She was her own person. She, saw something, she went for it, often opinionated, but always ethical, honest, and doing things the right reason. But she understood that being of service to others is an honor. It doesn't put you down, it raises you up. And she was that as a trailblazer, as a doer, as a friend. And I think that's what, to me, is so special for Rose, who was of service to so many. We get to be here today to help honor her with the memorial so that others will remember her and hopefully will be inspired by Rose Ochi. So thank you for being here. I think we're all blessed to have had a wonderful friend who has touched our lives and will always touch our lives. And may God bless her, Tommy, and all of you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Allen, we do appreciate your time and all the great, wonderful things you did as a police commissioner, former police commissioner for life. So thank you very much for being here today. I'd now like to introduce kind of the super special guest speaker, Darlene Kuba.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Chief Moore, for those kind words. Commissioner Sullivan, thank you for those kind words. Good afternoon. Isn't this a wonderful day? I'm so excited to be here at this dedication ceremony for Police Chief, Police Commissioner Rose Matsui Ochi. Rose was my friend, and she was my mentor, and basically she was my mama. First, I'd like to thank Chief Michael Moore for his support of this amazing dedication. It was the chief who graciously recommended today's honor. Please, Chief. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you. Chief Moore worked closely with Rose during her tenure on the Los Angeles Police Commission and when she was the executive director of the California Forensic Science Institute. He can personally attest her dedication to the department and especially her commitment to the women and men of the Los Angeles Police Department. In Rose's life, she dealt with many, many challenges. Following the onset of World War II, she and her family were unjustly removed from their home in East Los Angeles, and they were incarcerated at Rohr concentration camp in Arkansas. She personally witnessed severe injustice and systemic racism. This became her strong motivating factor and was the driving force that resulted in her becoming a trailblazer, a civil rights advocate, and a champion for the underserved. Rose's professional career focused on the field of criminal justice. She held many positions that allowed her to make an impact in this field. Mayor Tom Bradley appointed her Director of Criminal Justice Planning for the City of Los Angeles. In this position, she obtained millions of dollars to support LAPD's training and community programs. President Bill Clinton appointed her Deputy Director of the National Drug Control Policy Office. In this position, she developed policies that had a huge impact on the war on drugs. President Clinton also appointed her to the position of Assistant United States Attorney General. In this position, she was responsible for the Community Relations Service. This entity was established by Title X of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. It was the primary civil rights agency in the nation. Mayor James Hahn appointed her to the Los Angeles Police Commission, and I will share a little more about Rose's experience experiences in this position later in my presentation. Her last position in the field of criminal justice was the executive director of the California Forensic Science Institute, where she developed programs that created educational and training collaboration between the Los Angeles Police Department, Los Angeles Sheriff Department, and the Criminal Justice Department at California State University at Los Angeles. It's a notable event where you think that Rose Ochi was the first female Asian American Pacific Islander appointed to each of these positions. Commissioner Ochi enjoyed and valued her time on the Police Commission. She truly felt that this position allowed her to make an impact on public safety in the city of Los Angeles. As a commissioner, she loved participating at many departmental functions, and she especially enjoyed attending the Police Academy graduations because it gave her the opportunity to witness the new officers as they began their careers protecting and serving our city. Rose treated everyone with the same level of respect, regardless of rank. She truly admired the women and men of the department and was very, very proud of them. Rose was appointed Police Commission over 20 years ago. Her advocacy and consensus building skills had a profound impact on the department's initiatives and programs. Her vision created a foundation for improvements in community policing services that continues today. Some of these initiatives were the department's response to the federal consent decree, department's community policing program, department's efforts to improve diversity by hiring more women and minorities. She told me on many occasions that she wanted the department to reflect the communities it serves. She assisted in creating outreach programs to improve relations with the city's diverse communities, and she assisted in the development and implementation of the department's flexible work schedule. Today's ceremony honors a remarkable woman and her love for the department. Now and forever, her spirit and her passion will resonate in this beautiful setting. Again, my deepest thanks to Chief Michael Moore. Also, I would like to thank many individuals and organizations who supported today's honor and tribute. This includes Rose's husband, Tommy Ochi, Rose's niece, Marlene Matsui, Bert and Jane Bachman, Janice Fukai, my husband, Bill Fujioka, Ron Imada, Eric Nishizawa, Mario Reyes, Richard Yamamoto, Commissioner Alan Scobin, Glenn Martin, Sergeant Fernie Montes de Oca, Employee Retentions Benefit, the Japanese American Bar Association, and the Law Enforcement Association of Asian Pacifics. Please give them a hand. And lastly, but most important, Rose would want me to thank all the women and men of the Los Angeles Police Department for their tireless dedication and many sacrifices to the city of Los Angeles. May God bless everyone. Please be safe and take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darlene. At this time, we're going to transition over to the dedication plaque, and if I could have the chief, also have Darlene, and if the family would like to join us, we will do the unveiling of the plaque.